Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaser King coming to you live and in color with the 2016 preview. I've been doing the conferences and I do two at a time to give you enough flavor. I'm going to do the MAC and the Mountain West. Very good conferences to know and understand and make a lot of money. As I've explained in other videos, it's a popularity contest. Notre Dame should be a 3-point favorite, it's a 10-point favorite. So you've got to look for value, and the value comes in betting Bowling Green and San Jose State and Nevada and Akron and teams like that. You got to know what type of team they are. Offensive team, a defensive team, good balance. Do they run an explosive offense? Do they have a killer defense? And this is all what you need to know in order to make money, because you got to know what type of team are you playing against. You might have a great passing team playing a killer defense. They're not going to do anything, but if you get them against a weak defense, you probably have a good chance of winning because they can't stop them. So let's go to the MAC first. Now what I do is I tell you if the quarterback's back, the returning starters, the average points, offense and defense per last year, and kind of what type of team they are. So we're looking to try to get the personality of the team for the matchups. So let's start with the MAC. I use the rating of Lindy's. Lindy's gives you a pretty good idea of who is who, what type of team they are, so I can pull that information out of it very easily. And they kind of rank the teams, which for now I'll go with. They're probably pretty accurate about that. So let's go to the MAC. The top team there is going to be Western Michigan. Very good quarterback returning, very good. 8 and 5 returning starters, offense 8, defense 5. Balanced, high-scoring offense, average defense, not a killer defense, but average. They're definitely an over team, and last year they averaged 36 in offense and 28 defense. I'm just going to say 36 and 28, so 36 is their average offense, 28 is their average defense, including in there they played Michigan State, and then they played other MAC teams, so they'll probably go up from there because the quarterback's back and wide receivers back, and they have a very good team. So now you got to look at outer conference and interconference. First month they play out of the conference. They play Big Ten teams. Then you go into the interconference, and that's when it gets a lot easier because they're playing weaker teams, so they can really pound them. But you got to be careful. Like in my last video, Western Kentucky plays Alabama. Even Western Kentucky's an explosive team. Against Alabama, they're not going to be, but against Texas State, they will be. So you've got to be careful who you have. So it's hard to take these teams too much against the Big Ten. You kind of wait for these teams. You try to wait for more of the conference games to really start betting these teams. More or less, if the SEC plays a Sun Belt, or if a Big Ten plays a MAC, you kind of don't really want to take the MAC teams too much, more or less when they're playing each other. Or if Western Michigan's playing Idaho, then that'd be an explosive, high-scoring game. So it depends on which conference they're playing. So Western's a good over team. Northern Illinois, returning quarterback, very good. 6 and 4 returning starters, high scoring, average defense, definitely an over. They were 31 and 27 last year, so they scored, but their defense isn't Stonewall. Next team's Ohio. They have a new quarterback. He's average. They got 8 and 6 returning. Quarterback's a question mark. I can't read what I wrote. Oh, all else is strong. So Ohio's going to have a strong offense up till their quarterback. So if you read the box scores, if the quarterback comes on, they're going to be explosive. If he doesn't, they won't be. And they have a very strong defense. So when Western plays Ohio, you got to be careful because that could be a lot closer game than you think. So Ohio could be a very live dog in conference. I have them as an under. They averaged 27 and 25 last year. So, to only average 27 in the MAC, that doesn't show me a big scoring, where Western averaged 36 and Northern Illinois averaged 31, so you can see they're good teams. Central Michigan, very good quarterback coming back. He'll be a draft pick. 5 and 8 returning. Young offensive line, but strong everywhere else. Very strong defensively. I still like them as an over team because of their offense. 25 and 22 was their average. But I think this year with the quarterback returning, he's a senior. I look for more scoring from Central, especially against the weaker teams. Akron, their quarterback's returning. He's very good. 3 and 4 returning starters. Average offense, average defense, probably more of an under. They're a young team, and they averaged 23 and 21 last year. So again, against the better teams, they're going to lose. Against the weaker teams, they'll probably be pretty good, but they're still an under team. Toledo, I loved Toledo last year. Their quarterback's returning. They have 8 and 4 returning offense and defense. Their running back Hunt is very, very good. They run a balanced offense. They have an average defense, maybe a little bit better than average. I think they're an over. They averaged 35 and 20 last year. With the quarterback back and Hunt back, their running back Hunt, I look for them. He'll be a pretty high draft pick too. I look for them. They were 35 and 20 last year. I look for that to go up to maybe 37, 38. And again, they played Arkansas and they beat them. So if they don't have Arkansas and they play just normal teams, that average definitely be in the 40s, as it probably was in the conference. Bowling Green, very explosive team. Lost their quarterback Johnson. I'm surprised he's not on an NFL roster. He's very good. Their coach went to Syracuse, but the assistant who took over is going to keep with the high-scoring offense. So I look for them to still be a high-scoring team. They returned 4 and 5, but they lost their quarterback. Very high-scoring passing offense, pretty average defense. They averaged 42 points and gave up 29 last year. Again, these explosive offensive teams can't rest their defense, so it ends up where the defense gives up a few more points. But in the big games, Bowling Green won their title and won their championship game with their offense, and their defense came to play those days. So again, look for them to be very explosive. Just they're young. They've lost a lot of players and their coach. So we got to see how the new coach is. We got to see how the new quarterback is, but he's probably fit for this system. So the quarterback probably won't be that weak. The coach, if he just leaves it alone, they should do very well. They were the champs last year. Buffalo, new quarterback, and he's terrible. They have 5 and 8 returning, a weak offense, and a very strong defense. They're definitely an under. They averaged 26 and 27 last year. But with 8 back on the defense, and it's a very strong defense, but a very young and inexperienced quarterback, this is the perfect under team. I love these type of under teams with a very strong defense and no quarterback. They're not going to score a lot of points, and they're going to play run, punt, field position, and defense you. These are my favorite. These are my favorite under teams. So you get them against another kind of weak team, and you're not going to have a lot of scoring here. Ball State. These are 4 of the weaker teams. The next 4: Ball State, Kent State, Miami of Ohio, and Eastern. These are the bet against teams. I'll start with Ball State. They have a returning quarterback. He's a sophomore. He's average. They have 6 and 7 returning. They run a balanced offense. Very weak defense. Very weak team. Very under. They got a new coach who's never coached before. They were 23 offense and 35 defensive. The average was 23 offense, 35 defense. You can see their defense sucks, and they don't score a lot of points. Kent State, new quarterback. He's a sophomore, very weak. They have 10 returning starters on offense, 7 on defense. Very weak at quarterback and wide receiver, and an average defense. They're definitely an under. They only scored 13 a game and gave up 28. Beautiful under. You want them against Buffalo, you bet it under. That's what you're looking for. As the same with Miami of Ohio. Quarterback's back. He's average. They got 8 and 6 returning. Average offense, weak secondary, and an average defense. 18 and 32 was their number, so they averaged 18 points a game and gave up 32. You gotta love it. Big bet against team, especially this first month, wherever they play in the Big Ten and whatever other conferences they play. Definitely bet heavy against Miami of Ohio. And then the last one's Eastern Michigan, who's a terrible team. There's 128 teams. They're ranked 127. They're probably the worst. They have 8 and 8 returning. The quarterback returns. He's average. Their offense is average. Their defense is weak. Probably more of an over team because their defense is so weak. They were 25 and 42 last year, so they scored 25 a game, gave up 42. So, I mean, they're just a terrible, weak team, bet against all day and night. They'll play Western Michigan, take them. They'll play Central Michigan, you take them. Now, here's what you don't do. When Western plays Eastern, you don't mess around with the over-under. So let's say Western's laying 21, the over-under is 60. Forget the over-under unless Eastern shows that they're scoring and they put in a new offense. If they're just the plain Jane and the weak defense, you bet Western, they'll beat them by 40. So they'll win the game 42-0. They won't go over, but they're going to cover. So there, don't make the mistake. That's not the team you want to play over-unders with, are these teams with the weak offense, the Kent State, the Miami of Ohio's, the Ball State, the Buffaloes. These are not teams you mess with the over-under on. Well, if you play like a Western or Northern Illinois or other pretty explosive teams, you just take the team. You don't mess around. You don't like, oh, I can get Ball State in 25 points. You bet against them. Buffalo might be a decent dog, but again, they're more of an under team. So you're looking for the two unders to play. I mean, you got Buffalo, Ball State, Kent State, Miami, Ohio, and Eastern all under. Well, Eastern's probably their defense is so bad they're almost an over, but especially Miami of Ohio, Kent State, Ball State, and Buffalo, who don't score a lot of points. You want to keep that pretty much just bet them under when they play each other. Next conference, the Mountain West. Very good conference, very underrated, a lot of very good talent out there. Top team, San Diego State, new quarterback, Pelfrey, very good defense. 7 returning on offense, 7 on defense. Very strong defensively, very strong team. You'll get good value because they're not popular. They average 32 and 16, so they score a lot and they have a really good defense. That's why they're number 1 here. Boise, returning quarterback, I can't think of his name. I can pitch Rippon. I don't know if he's related to Mark Rippon or not, but very good quarterback. 9 return on offense, only 4 on defense. Very good passing game, balanced offense. Their defense is normally strong, but with 4 returners, we're not sure. New offensive coordinator, and they averaged 39 and 20 last year, so definitely an over team there. San Jose State's next. The quarterback comes back. He's very good. 8 and 6 return. Young secondary on defense. Senior-dominated team we like, and they average 28 and 27. So they're not really the explosive offense, but the quarterback's back, and he's a good quarterback, so that could go. You just got to watch him play a few games. Nevada's next, returning quarterback. Strong running offense as they run the pistol. 9 and 5 returning. Strong secondary, but an average defense. Strong running offense, weak passing offense. They average 26 and 26. So again, the San Jose State, Nevada, when they play the weaker teams, they'll probably go over. Against the stronger teams, it'll probably be unders. Really hard to call those average type of teams. But they're very good teams, so they're probably pretty good dogs in the conference. The Air Force, very much like Nevada, they returned 6. The quarterback was injured, Romine. Look for him to come back or a replacement. They run a good option, and they can pass it. They have 4 and 9 returning. The defense is weaker. They're an experienced team that's pretty strong. They got to get their defense better. So they're definitely an over. They averaged 33 and 25 last year, so they can score. But again, it's the average type of defense, so probably pretty high scoring games. Wyoming, new quarterback, he's weak. They have 9 and 8 returning, so they got a lot of guys returning. They run ball control, very strong running back coming back. They're young and an average defense. They have the coach from North Dakota State, so I look for them to get better. He won all the titles at North Dakota State. But their offense was terrible last year. They averaged 19 and gave up 34, which I was surprised with the North Dakota State thing. It's funny, the Boise coaches go on and they never do anything. And you go, why? It doesn't make sense. And here, the same thing with this North Dakota State coach. You think he'd be great, and he can only get a job at Wyoming and then doesn't do anything there. So it's very strange. Colorado State, the quarterback's back. He's very strong balanced offense. A young defense. They have 6-4 returning. Probably a good over team. They averaged 30 and 27. I like them against Colorado week 1. But I don't think Colorado's that strong. And Colorado State's got a good quarterback. So I would look for them to either win or keep the game close. So they'd be a live dog there. I think they're getting 8. You can get 14 points. I think it's a very good bet. UNLV, new quarterback. He's average junior college transfer. 6-6 returning. Strong wide receivers. Very weak defensive. Typical over team. If the quarterback gets better, very weak defense. They averaged 28 and 33 last year, so they're going to play high-scoring teams. So against the good offensive teams, they're going to give up a lot of points, but they can score some. Utah State, who's been gold for the last 5 years, heavy losses. The quarterback's coming back. He's pretty good. 6-3 returning, not a lot. They run a balanced offense. Here's where the defense has been great for years, is weak and young. Very young team. They scored 29, gave up 26 a game. So I was surprised because normally their defense was very good. So they're just not as strong as they used to be, and that really won't be picked up in the spread. They'll probably be under spread. So they should be getting 10. They're only getting 7 because they're Utah State, and I look to probably bet against them a lot. New Mexico. Quarterback is back. He's a dual run pass type of quarterback. 5-9 returning. Strong running offense and a strong defense. They should handle New Mexico State. They play them in the first few weeks. They average 30 and 28, so they can score. The defense isn't that great, but definitely they'll probably be more of an over than an under. But they do have that good defense. So let's see how the quarterback does. Fresno State, what the hell happened to them? They're going to start a freshman quarterback who stinks. 5-4 returning, very weak offense, very weak defense. 22-38 with their numbers. I bet when Derek Carr was there, they were doing in the 40s. So here you have a team that just lets up a lot, doesn't score a lot, but they're going to be under spread. They should be getting 14. They're going to get 7 because they have Derek Carr and they have that name. So look for that to come into play. So it's a strong bet against in Fresno State. And the last team, one of the worst teams, is Hawaii. New quarterback, 5-4 returning, a terrible offense, a terrible defense. They scored 17 and let up 35. Now their first game they played Cal in Japan. So I look for Cal to beat them, but their next game is in Michigan, and I look for Michigan to beat them about 59-0 because of the travel to Japan. Then they got to fly to Michigan, and there's no week off in between. It's your first game's in Japan, your next game's in Michigan. And Michigan, they want to get off to a good start. They can't afford to lose with the playoffs. There's no way they're going to lose to this Hawaii team who's very, very weak. And that's what you look for. You don't fuck around with the over-under with Michigan. Michigan's got a really good defense. They'll shut them out. But their offense, the new quarterback, and they'll probably bring in 2 quarterbacks to get them some experience. They're going to run it down their throats. They'll score a lot. Peppers will probably pick one, and Jordan will probably pick one for touchdowns, or Peppers will run a punt back or something. So they'll score extra points that way. So I think they'll cover fairly easy. They're laying 40. I don't think you need a teaser. Like I said, I think it's 56-59-0. I don't see Hawaii scoring at all. They'll be very tired from the trip to Japan. So definitely look for Michigan in that the second week, but the first real week. And that's what you have there. So you have a very strong Mountain West. The top teams, Boise, San Diego State, probably San Jose State, Nevada, can probably play the other conferences fairly good. They'll play the Pac-12 teams probably fairly good. To look for that. But there you have it. Again, it's very crucial to understand these teams. These are your money teams, these weaker conferences, especially the over-unders. A lot of these teams have no defense. You play any team with a good quarterback. That's why quarterback's the key. Any good quarterback's going to roll into these teams, the weak defenses, and light them up. They're going to put up 40. So again, you watch the number. If it's a low spread, you bet the team. If it's a high spread, you got to look at the over-under. And these weak defensive teams tend to give up 50 points. They're all, you know, for some reason in college football, you get these blowouts, these 50-point wins. The teams run it up because they'll put out their backups and they run it out because the defenses are bad. They can't stop them. And these guys want playing time. And what are you going to do, not play them? So that's where you really get your mismatches. So be careful the first couple of weeks when they're playing out of conference. You know, UCLA plays San Jose State. You got to be careful. You don't mess around with UCLA. But when San Jose State plays Fresno State, then you pound San Jose State and teams like that. So that's what you look for. So there goes your MAC and your Mountain West. Hope you enjoy these videos. Please ask questions or comments. www.teaserking.com. Please come to the site if you interested in buying the picks. Especially my locks were over 80% last year. I think I was like 55 and 10 or 11. It was a huge number. I'll post that. You can see my history. If you go on the site, there's a history tab. You click on the link and you hit previous. You see all my picks from last year. We won 44,000. We did really well on the locks, and you know, I'm giving you something that's much, you know, it's a 75% is what I do, and I've been doing this since 1977. So I'll never forget my first teaser was Texas Notre Dame, and I had Earl Campbell. So it's pretty exciting. But I've been doing this a long time, and it's just a matter of which team is what they're called. I mean, one year it's Bowling Green, the next year it could be Western Michigan, and that's all you're looking for is what are they called this year? The good team, the explosive team, the dominant team, and they always change names. And my job is to find that, and then I pound that team. And you know, it's usually a team with a good quarterback and a good defense. Maybe they can run it. The balanced teams are the best teams in pro or college. You find a team with a decent quarterback, with a good running back and a good receiver, and the defense doesn't know who to cover. They can't, you know, if it's one-dimensional, the defense can easily shut down a good passing attack or a good runner. But if you can run and throw, the defense cannot stop that. There's no way. Never have been able to. That's why you got to be able to run to win. The passing teams, they look good, but when the big games come, the defense, you know, shuts them out and off they go. All right, everybody. Well, good luck. Have a nice evening. Again, www.teaserking.com. Come to the site. Ask me questions, comments. I'm very happy to help. I know this. I bet this, and I just want to be of service. You know, I want to make money, and I want to make you money, of course. But this is America for a little bit longer anyway. All right, everybody. Have a nice night.